Welcome to the experiment, the 100-person project, simple questions for 100 people. I'm Bill Carell, and this is my investigation. It's my research project to gather data from 100 beautiful human beings for the sole purpose to see what actually happens across the interviews. Now, the questions are fixed, and all the interviews will remain consistent, with the variable being the actual participants themselves and their answers. So it's as if I'm having you come sit on my porch, Linda, to share your thoughts so I can learn about people. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to learn at the end of this thing when we're complete. But in the meantime, very interested in people, the process, and your particular story. So you're all going to get to know our guests through the interview. So let's just go ahead and dive in. What is your full name?
Hi, good morning, Bill. My name is Linda Jean McLaughlin. I'm just wondering if we're going to delve, if this is going to be like this intense thing, like I should get a box of Kleenex, like immediately, if not sooner.
You know what? It hasn't happened before, but your mileage may vary.
But you know me.
I do. So what's your maiden name?
Ungvary. I'm a nice Hungarian girl.
Yeah.
I'm
That's really cool.
Irish by a really bad decision, but that's a whole nother story.
We'll get there. So what is your favorite nickname that most people don't know?
Well, I love my nickname from you, where you feminize the buddy. So being a buddiette is kind of cool, and I know who's talking to me. But when I was little, it was Peaches, and my Uncle Joe called me Peaches up until he died. So I love that. I just think it's the cutest thing. My Uncle Joe still always called me that.
What's he remind you of? That's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, when you think about him, your face got all kind of like smiley, and it sounds to
Oh,
me like,
Uncle
there
Joe.
was a lot.
Everybody has an Uncle Joe, I think. That is just this spectacular human being who survived living with Aunt Florence in the name of God and all things holy. He was just this jovial, always smiling, huggy bear kind of guy that just enveloped me. And I always felt so safe and loved when I was around him. So that's why he was amazing. And if you went and talked to Auntie Flo's neighbors, Uncle Joe died way before she did. And all the neighbors are upset over that.
Goodness. Okay. All right. So I will not use Peaches inappropriately, at least not after the
Yeah.
podcast, because what happens in the podcast stays in the podcast. Okay.
Well, it's cute being called Peaches when you're little, but when you're older, it's like you're a belly fan dancer, pole dancer.
I was just
So,
going to say, men could get smacked for in the wrong environment, right?
yeah, I suppose. No, I
All
don't
right.
think so because of who I am. I'd be just laughing. The more inappropriate humor that you can share, the more I applaud you.
I will bear that in mind as we go along, Peaches. Okay. When did you first notice what color hair you had?
Wow, that's funny that you even bring that up because I believe it was 2 weeks ago. I had not gone to the hairdresser since September. And I remember looking in the mirror and going, oh, that's what color my hair is? And what are those like gray things going on? I don't even know. But that was the first time, like, really, that I was aware of what my hair color was.
I'll be darned.
I
Yeah.
know.
And what did that feel like?
Frightening, along with that woman that seems to live behind my mirror. I don't know who the hell she is, but I really wish she would leave because she's really annoying me and she needs a facelift.
Well, maybe you and I can work on that later on, okay? We'll get that woman in the mirror, in line, whipped into shape.
Really? Back off. I have boundaries. Okay.
You do, don't you? I've never seen them,
No,
but
I don't think my bar could go any lower.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it that way. I would just say that you've got a capacity to love so many people no matter what they look like or who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is a kind of an interesting one because as long as I've known you and as well as I think I do, I'm probably going to learn something here. What's your favorite thing to do to intentionally waste time?
Oh, I'm good at that lately. So, as much as it always used to upset me with people playing video games on their phones, I do a triple match 3D, which that's an idle thing and time goes by. But I've also discovered 1,000 piece puzzles.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought it was, that's been fun and passes the time. And I think I'm doing something. And my daughter has, she doesn't want me to break them down. She wants to ultimately frame them. And I go, why? I don't understand it. But I think she's already, preparing my cremation. I think it's like at a certain point in time, I remember when she decided I was a senior, and that was great because I always got to ride shotgun after that. And now it's just a matter of time before I fall and break a hip and go to God.
That's very cool. Okay, so you've got accomplices in your wasting time, don't you?
Absolutely. My little head never stops. Okay. So,
All right. So we'll get back to the published questions, which is what is your favorite movie to watch alone?
um, I watch all my movies alone. So, but my favorite movie is While You Were Sleeping. I just love it with Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman, and it's a love happily ever after. The characters are great. I always giggle, and it's a feel good thing for me.
So how many times would you estimate that you've actually watched that?
Oh my word. I'm going to say a minimum of 4 times a year. And whenever that movie first came out, and I'm thinking it might have been in the 80s. I have no idea when it came out, but I watch it quite frequently.
So I'm guessing you could probably
There's
just go.
another one. Oh, Echo in the Canyon is the most recent one, and I just watched that over. Like I serial watch it. It's really a great movie on how um, folk became rock, with the folk guitars becoming electric, and the Birds, and then David Crosby hooking up with Stephen Stills, and Stephen Stills was Buffalo Springfield
Yep.
with Neil Young, and then they became Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and yeah, good stuff. So I can't get enough of it. There's all my favorites. There was Joni Mitchell and Jackson Brown and all the um, Jacob Dylan is the narrator, and they're the Mamas and the Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas showcase there. Oh, I don't want to ruin your good time, but
No, I'll tell you what. This is like my happy place. Okay. Have you ever been to
oh,
Laurel Canyon?
no, but that was the place. And
100%.
yeah, the easy way to get that is go and join Amazon Prime and check that they can avoid sending, minimize boxes, and they'll give you a little coupon or something to get to buy a movie. So I bought that movie. It's the only one I bought, and I watch it all the time.
And who says we don't give you value here on the hundred person podcast, right?
Yeah, I should write a book or something. There you go.
Well, so we've
I'll have
got
a
what
blog.
and then what was it? Echoes in the Canyon?
Yes, Echo in the Canyon.
Echo in the Canyon. Marvelous. And the really interesting part of that too is that the fourth piece, that Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Graham Nash was introduced to Stephen Stills by Joni Mitchell. So that came a little bit later, and the really
I
interesting.
David Crosby discovered Joni Mitchell and brought her to California. Didn't discover her, but found her and convinced her to come to California. And
Florida.
from there, she met
Yeah,
little Mr. Nash.
100%. And they all got together and sang around the campfire and
Our house is Nash wrote because of Joni.
in her house where she had all the parties, 100%. I've actually
And,
been.
and two cats in the yard.
Yes, life used to be so hard.
Mhm.
Now everything is easy because of you.
That's the Nash wrote. Joni, no. Yeah, Nash wrote that. And Joni wrote something else for them. I can't right now. It's too early.
No worries. Okay, that's very good. I think we've gotten a lot out of your intentionally wasting time in the movies you love. Okay,
Okay.
so if you were to have an action figure made of you, what superpower would it have, Linda, and what colors would the uniform be?
I think it would be so cool to be invisible. So I would like to be invisible. And then I need to snazzy it up. So I would like my costume to be gold, white gold, and rose gold. So it's yeah, there you go.
That's interesting. So those
Very
times when
fancy.
yeah, before you go invisible, you may as well look cool on the way, right?
Sparkly.
100%. So you're going to go from red carpet to nobody knows if you got anything on at all once you go invisible, right?
What is she wearing?
Yeah, exactly. So, what did you want to be when you grew up and when you were 5 years old?
I had no aspirations at 5. I was just living life. That was it. No aspirations, really. Nope. I don't remember even having aspirations until I was like in 3rd grade. And that's when um, I wanted to be a nun because that's around the time with your confirmation or your communion. And boy, are they drilling you. So I needed to. And I remember my mother was absolutely horrified and said, they'll shave your hair.
So,
So that was that.
I'm trying to remember, did you worship at Our Lady of Lords?
Yes.
And we had to know each other before I thought I remembered.
Listen, I got dropped off every Sunday and my mother picked me back up. That was, my mother said, your father was Catholic and we had you christened and I promised I'd bring you up in the Catholic religion. So her idea of bringing me up Catholic was dropping me off every Sunday.
Had no idea where you went after she dropped you off, but she got her part done, right?
Oh, listen, back then at the Catholic Church, and you had to do confession before Sundays. And
Yep.
I remember making things up because I mean, how awful can you be when you're in 3rd grade? Although I did have a keen sense of adventure, I did things without reason. There was no thought behind it. I try and look back and think of why I did the things I did, and there is no thought at all. I
There's
just think
no if then.
when I was in 1st grade and we were getting our pictures taken for our school pictures, I went and I curled my bottom lip down and kind of just did a closed mouth smile with my lip curled down. And I remember the photographer stopped and he looks and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm smiling." He goes, "Like that?" I go, "That's how I smile." And I got that picture. And that was the first time. I don't even know where that came from. And my kids think that that's like spectacular. There's a couple of things that in my life, like the fact that I can open every time I lock myself out of my house, I can open the lock with a credit card. Katie just thinks I'm like way too cool for school.
You have
When did you learn to do that? I go, I don't know. It's just a gift from God.
and isn't that what credit cards are for? I mean, that's
Well, I don't know. That's why I went and I told her I always keep, oh, here, everybody, this might not be true. And I might have a pit bull or something in the backyard, but I leave the door to my garage open and I hide a key in there in case I do forget my keys, which is quite often. And I went to go do it and the door was locked. And I called Katie on the phone and went, did you lock my garage door? She goes, yeah. I thought, Katie, nobody can even get to me from the garage. I'm on a slab foundation. I just do that. Bah, bah, bah. I go, never mind. Come over here and bring a couple of credit cards. And I
And watch
got
it
him.
go to work.
She
Yeah,
tried, she couldn't even get the video going by the time I was able to do that. It was just very cool.
that's funny. That's funny.
I
And
am
I can
just a
picture the two
plethora
of
of information, aren't I? I go, there goes, the B&Es in our area have now gone up and how to get free movies.
you just got it all. And we're not done yet. Wait, there's more.
You think I'd be dating more, but no.
You can fit that conversation in anywhere that you want to. As a matter of fact, here's a question that might lead you to that story.
Oh,
What is your greatest accomplishment?
oh, probably the fact that I can dress myself looking over my shoulder at my tumultuous past. That probably is. I don't know. There's a lot of things, you want to say, oh, my kids. Well, not necessarily. And my education and my career. And I go, yeah, that was okay. And the fact that I was a single mom and we didn't wind up in the projects and I just worked and worked and worked and all of these things. I mean, I had nothing in the home minus nothing, eating out of food closets with Katie, who was 12 years old. And from there, having 3 houses in Newport, Rhode Island. And it was just working. I have no drop your drawer stories. I just worked and just put all my money into paying off the mortgages with
Yeah,
the help of renters. Okay.
well, see, that's the thing, is you create a system whereby you're getting income off of it and it works for everybody involved, and you've really become a master at that for your nice, tidy little units. There's no question about it. And I agree with you. You remind me of a meme that I saw this last week. I posted it myself, as a matter of fact, which basically said, sometimes just being alive requires courage.
Absolutely. And I think being a single woman walking the planet is is difficult. I mean, I don't have anybody to bail me out if I'm not afforded the luxury of making a bad decision. It's all on me. And so, yeah, it is hard. And I don't think I'm fearful. I just think it's exhausting because you really can't let your guard down. So that's a whole nother podcast, Bill.
We'll schedule that one, okay? Absolutely.
Notice how my voice just went wah wah.
Yeah, that one can have all sorts of different words in it, but this one we're keeping clean, and I know that there's a lot of story going on with you, no doubt about it. And this next question will actually give you an opportunity to maybe focus on that just a little bit. Who is your favorite person to listen to?
Oh, I love listening to the narrator of all Ken Burns documentaries, Peter Coyote.
Oh my God, yes.
That's who I love. If you stop and think about it, if you go, oh, who do I like to listen to? Is it music? Well, I've got such a vast love from Sarah Brightman on down to, I don't know, Traffic and Cream. But listening, I find his voice, that's how I can go to sleep. I just put it on. His voice, I just love it.
Yeah.
I have listened to the Roosevelt's documentary at least 5 times a week for the past 10 years. I go, oh my God, I just love that soothing. It's, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, yet another valuable tip from our guest. No doubt
You're
about it.
welcome. You're
And you know
welcome.
what I was listening to right before you and I got busy getting on here? I was listening to an original from 1965 or 1966, Steve Winwood doing John Barleycorn Must Die.
Stevie Winwood, I swear to God, I have saved a little ovary egg for him. I just always, I've been a traffic fan
Yeah.
my whole life. And when I was raising my kids and I raised them, we lived in a log cabin in a neighborhood, but it was set back an acre and there was an acre behind us. And when it snowed, because we had big picture windows and holly trees out in front, and the cardinals and the blue jays and the Scotch pines and the waxy leaves and the red berries, and I'd put my couch in front of the window and I would just crank Cream, Blind Faith, and Traffic,
Oh yeah.
chain smoke, and drink coffee back in the day when I did smoke. And I was a smoke 'em if you got 'em girl. So that's a whole nother story too. Stop. Not only does everybody would be able to save money and be able to go to Italy at least once a year, but you don't even want to ever not be able to breathe. It's awful.
So
Absolutely awful.
So I'm going to do something with what you just said, and I completely agree with you. You're a miracle. You are a freaking miracle. There's no doubt in my life. There's nobody that I know that's been able to pull off what you've been able to pull off in the last 3 or 4 years. And I would love it if you could just say a little bit more about that. I've lost two sisters, to lung cancer and emphysema. And once you start that downhill slide, that's almost like this is over. You really need to gather your family together and figure out what's what. But Linda, you really showed something to the world by taking care of yourself.
Exactly. If you hear, I go, Lord knows I can talk forever without taking a breath. But what had happened, it helps being a nurse because unless you have an amputated arm, you will not go to the hospital. So I had this horrible, I was going into respiratory failure. I went to my doctor's office. I had Katie's friend follow me or bring me there, is what it was. And she goes, I'm calling an ambulance. You're going to go. And I said, absolutely not. So she gave me nebulizer treatments while I was there. I got, I think it was Decadron or Solumedrol in the bum. I got so that would be a steroid, but a shot of Rocephin. She sent me home with a slew of medications. I remember sitting on the couch in tripod position, and my girls came. And I'm thinking to myself, they're running all over my little house. And I'm going to myself, stay out of my jewelry box. And yeah, and from there, I know that my daughter Jessica made me turmeric and yeah, I
Sounds
think
right.
that's what it's called. It's the blue algae milkshakes and stuff. And then from there, I started researching because I'm a nurse, and I found these supplements like N-acetylcysteine, that they use for people with cystic fibrosis, and um, cordyceps mushroom supplements, and
Wow.
there were a couple other ones. So I stopped smoking because that's what it took, is not being able to breathe. I wouldn't even light so much as a candle. I was doing these supplements, working as a nurse when I got well enough to go back to work from the acute onset that I went through. And I went to my doctor. I have a pulmonary doctor who's amazing. And I said, I am just so surprised. I go, it had to be all these supplements. And she goes, oh no, our lungs have a big capacity to find new avenues and all this stuff. And then when I stopped nursing, all of a sudden, all my pulmonary function testing went pretty much in the toilet because I was running 16 hours a day in during the pandemic, when I'd come into triage with 40 people in the waiting room and a 12-hour wait, and running them to the ED that now is from 50 people to 150.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't doing that anymore. I started with strength training recently, maybe for 6 months now. And when I went, I'm 120% better than I was last year. And she said, here you go again. Your lung got from the strength training got stronger, and your heart is a muscle and it got stronger with the strength training too. So there you go.
So I have one question to kind of put this all into perspective. At the worst, when you were at that point where you were still deciding whether to quit smoking or not,
No,
what
there was no deciding.
no, you
And
actually had a diagnosis, didn't you?
oh, so I'm a COPD, or emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease is a COPD, but they also now do blood work where they can see, um, they do like not DNA, it's testing where I am an antitrypsin 1 deficient person, which means I'm missing a protective enzyme for my lungs, because I had lived for a little bit with a 96-year-old woman who was a smoker until she died. And I'm going, why? I loved smoking. I go, and it kept my weight down. I was very good. Um, and I mean that it was soothing. I was a thumb sucker until I think I was 18 years old, and it was peer pressure of going off to college that made me stop that. But the cigarettes did the oral gratification thing, and then from there, that's how people gain weight, because yeah, you keep it going. It's like, how do you don't want a cigarette after dinner if the meal never ends, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you for all of that. I really appreciate that, because that's, I mean, the honest to God, that's gold. And that's 100% why I do this podcast with people, you know? And if nobody, if everyone listening can just get hope with someone you know and love, or yourself, you got to take the action. Don't accept the diagnosis and just get and then lie down, you know?
Well, the thing is, if and I understand it's exhausting. I mean, when people are in end stages of COPD, just eating uses up all their oxygen. And but if all you can do is walk 3 feet, then walk 3 feet, and then for like 3 days, and then walk 4 feet for 3 days. I mean, just keep it going, just keep moving, and but do smart things.
Sure.
I mean, but to keep smoking when you have absolutely no lung capacity and think you're going to use oxygen's going to do it for you, that doesn't even do it.
No.
So anyway, that's another wah, wah story, kind of.
Perfect segue into this next question. Okay. Now that
Okay.
you're going to be around for a few minutes, which I'm really happy and thankful for, complete this sentence. When I grow up, I'd like to.
Wow. Um, I think I have the emotional stability of a 12-year-old. So I'm not saying that I've even grown, and I don't know what, I'm just happy being. I'm now. I don't think I have any aspirations to do anything other than things that I love now. So when I grow up, I don't know. I want to keep on being or looking at life like a child. There,
Yeah.
that's it. Taking great joy in beautiful colors of flowers and textures outside, and how many colors can you see and on the beach? We were doing that yesterday. How many colors watching this big ocean, and it was sunset, and gray and steel and silver and white and lavender and purple and pink and coral, and reveling in that and really enjoying it. I mean, in my heart, like I feel it. It's wonderful, and I hope I never lose that.
Yeah. That's my wish for you, by the way. And
Thank
I'll,
you.
you are at the moment the poster child of somebody who turned out. You worked all your life, and and for most of the time that I've known you, there's been something that's kind of been in your face and in your way, and now for the first time, you can actually see what's going on, and you like being in the now, and
Yeah. And it
so
was because of that when you are first alone there is a it's a sadness. I certainly there's parts of my life that weren't on my cue card, but being able to have friends, you specifically were one of them that not only listened but would give you a tool. I mean, just give you a tool, hang up, and without carrying that weight and bringing you down, you were uplifting. I knew I wasn't alone. I knew I had somebody so I couldn't say oh my God, I'm all by myself, because I wasn't. It was a lie that I was telling myself, which also triggers more anxiety. And the flip side of that is depression. And I go, well, I'm just going to lay on this here couch for a while until you think you're going to get muscle wasting. And then, it's so that was wonderful. That was wonderful. And I wanted to add in a tool. Yeah, it's great to listen, but there's got to be something in your arsenal of life that you can throw a little bone to somebody and go, I don't know if this will work for you, but this helped me.
yeah,
So maybe you could try it. But seeing that there's another avenue and that it's not roadblocked, that there's other hallways that you can travel on, that I never, sometimes when you're in the forest, you can't see the trees, and it takes somebody else to be able to help you with that.
absolutely. I call that giving sighted guide to somebody who is myopic at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
So we've covered so much, Linda, but I'm going to ask you this question exactly as it is, and let's see where it takes us. What is the most important thing in life to you right now? Beyond being in the moment.
Well, I always laughed being a nurse, and I worked as an LPN first while I was going to school to be an RN. And I worked in nursing homes in acute care, long term care, blah, blah, blah. And I realized I used to laugh that the answer to life, what it all comes down to at the end is one decent bowel movement a day. So now I'm here and I go, but food is a good meal is so exciting for me, and travel. I want to travel and see the world while I can still walk, but it's for the cultural aspect of it. The people and the food and the architecture and the art, and oh my word, it's just this planet is amazing.
Yes. And you're somebody who's put a few miles on in the last 10 years, haven't you?
Shut up and keep that to yourself, okay?
I mean in the world, not other. You're still under warranty, my friend.
Yeah. Tell Katie that.
So, yeah, I will. I didn't talk to her, but I texted with her last night. So yeah. So what would you like to leave in the world after your life is done, Linda?
A smile and a funny story. That's what I want people to just think of me and can't help but laugh or smile, for whether it's from one extreme of maybe when I was going through, for whatever. There's always a funny story. There's something bananas. You can turn around and look at it and laugh. When it's all over and the tremors have stopped, you can look at it and go, "Holy moly, that was hysterical." There's lots of funny things. But that's what I want to be. At first, I wanted to be remembered for something profound and really like the planet's not going to know I was even here. But
Yeah.
if people that I've touched or been with can have fun with me and smile and laugh, I think I will have that. That's the biggest thing I could probably leave.
Yeah. Yeah, there's an old saying that you don't pass until the last person says your name. you know? When people stop saying your name, that's when you're actually gone and gone for good. But that you and I will remain in people's stories for a minute or two, won't we?
I hope so. I
Yeah.
truly hope so.
So being an avid, fan, and an Epicurean, and a, gourmet connoisseur and all those other, really fancy words, you go to the baker every once in a while, and when you leave the baker having bought a dozen rolls, what do you get? You get a 13th one, right? So that's the spirit of this next question. It's a free question, and, I would just like to know, what is the thing that most people misunderstand about you, Linda?
I wanted it on my tombstone to be written, "She meant well." I am the eldest sibling, um, an ER trauma nurse. You have autonomy and a pretty. You better not be a wallflower. Um, and I think I come in and I want to make things better. I want to help, and it's like Lord knows I go through my little recipe cards of life experiences when somebody's going through it, and I think sometimes me bringing up things that and what I'm trying to say to them is I understand. I've been through this, that there's empathy here. This is what I did. And people misunderstand that and they go, oh, bringing it around to you again. So I think intentions. I go, um, my sister was intubated and I'm a nurse and I'm walking into work and I get this phone call. Your sister is in Bacchus Hospital intubated and she asked me to call her sister. Oh my God, my baby sister needs her big sister. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I drove down there and oh, I was like Duvall on the beach on Apocalypse Now. I go, oh my God. But
Yeah.
I wanted to fix it and make it better and take it. And it is a control thing to an extent, but it's not, I'm not meaning it with any, my intentions are absolutely the best. And I say what other people are thinking, unfortunately. But it's not for any, I'm not doing it to hurt anybody or anything. It's just, it is what it is. There you go. I don't know. I think it's my intentions. I'm misunderstood and I only have the best of intentions. I really am not a mean person or vindictive or any of those things. However, you come knocking at my door, it's like, no, don't pick it with the big dogs if you're not ready, and don't be surprised. But yeah, I would think I'm misunderstood for my intentions. It's because I love. It's if I didn't love, I wouldn't want to fix it or take care of things or make it better.
So true.
You know what I'm doing now, Bill, for fun? I'm finding hoarders and trying to clean their houses for as a volunteer thing. I go just because if they truly, I don't want to fight with them over getting rid of a gum wrapper, but if they're like that because or they live like that because they got sick and they can't do the things that they used to, I'm right there. I am. And so that's that.
I can definitely see how that would be therapeutic for you, you know?
Thank you. Yeah. Keeps me out of jail.
Well, see, that's the summary of all of the published questions, but this is where I ask you if you have any questions of me.
Absolutely. I would really, you explained yourself at the beginning that this is your study, which I applaud because you love people so much, you're constantly figuring out or seeing how they tick. And to understand people, I think it's very difficult, but I think it helps in acceptance of anybody, anything, anywhere. And it helps you love. So, and I actually don't. If I hadn't talked to you in ages and ages, I'd probably have a slew and go get another cup of coffee. But we pretty much, yeah. You're happy. I know you. So there's no questions why you do what you do. It's because you love people so much. And so there.
I
Why do you love me? There you go. That's my
let
question.
me count the ways. You're one of the most intellectually stimulating human beings, and you are one of those really cool people. Like there should be a sign on your forehead. My problem is I think and my lips move, and I'm the
Oh,
same way. And we have to
same with the face.
call things back a little bit. If you don't see subtitles, don't worry about it. My face is going to tell you what's going on, right? So no, there's so much that's there. It's straight talk. It's like always being accepting and always there with if you have to put on a size 15 boot every once in a while, to give me a swift kick, how could I not love you? And I do. I love you madly, and I love how I feel when I think about you. Okay, I love
Thank
how
you.
that makes me feel. Okay, that's why.
Thank you. We'll go ask the people I'm visiting down. They have been friends of mine since, God, I was like 25 years old or something. But they live up in Lake Placid. I'm down in Florida right now with them. They're down here for a month. They invited me to stay for a month. Katie interjected, if you want to remain friends with them, only go for 2 weeks, Mom, because you and Jeff in a room together. She goes, I don't even know how Patty does it.
Yeah,
And Jeff and I are just nonstop, but we're both nonstop talking about different subjects. And then we get random, like we could be on how great, lightweight boxing was, and then go to, do you think a armadillo would bite you if you kissed them on the lips?
I love it. And do
And
they
it's
have
just
lips, right?
insane. It's insane. God knows that's a whole topic.
Well, I'll tell you what, as much as I hate to call this, to a conclusion, you and I will talk afterwards. But in the meantime, for all you folks at home, I got one more question for you. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to just kind of wrap up and put a little bow on it?
Um, Life is nothing but rapid machine gun fire for which you have to change hats all the time. I mean, you're a single person, then you're a working person, and you're a mom, and then you're an empty nester. But all of these different phases that you go through, to be able to change hats and be cool with it and be okay with it, I think that is what you need. It's what is needed in order to survive, because you're not going to change the world, per se, life, how it happens. I think it's just, it can be quite challenging, but that's just what life is, and it'll pass. And I think you need to face it,
Yeah.
because if you look at that dragon, that fire breathing dragon, sometimes it's just smoke, I think if you face this stuff head on and not try and go into denial, or medicate yourself through it, or drink yourself through it, or any of those things, just feel it and get through it, and you'll be stronger and wiser, and you'll be able to help somebody else walk into.
I appreciate all of your thoughts that you've shared. I appreciate all your candid answers, and I mostly appreciate you and your friendship. So, with that said, I just want to remind all of you listeners that we are simple questions for 100 people. And I'm really loving this, and I can't wait to have you on my podcast as well. So get in touch with me if you'd like to do that. And in the meantime, Linda, I love you and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Bill, for having me.
All right. Bye bye now.
Bye, my friend.
You've been listening to Simple Questions for 100 People, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can find every episode at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.